next, I'd like to bring up Dr. J.B. Omodayo-Owotuga, who would be speaking on architecting your career transformation. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome with me the phenomenal Dr. J.B. Omodayo-Owotuga. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just before I start, if you do not mind, I would like to just make two announcements. Number one, if you came in here and you heard JB will be talking about architecting your career transformation, and in your mind, JB would give you 3 steps for career transformation within 72 hours. In actual fact, that session is ongoing, but it's not here. So all you need to do is step out and then turn to your left. And the room is there where that conversation is ongoing. 3 quick steps to transforming your career within 72 hours. Someone said that's the toilet. That's the only place where, where such conversations are. And then the second, it's also possible that you don't like storytelling. The convener specifically told me that it's about your story. Talk about this topic, but tell us your story. So if you do not also like storytelling, you are the very serious one. I'm sure you can see that I'm the most unserious in this room anyway. So if you are the very serious one, you want your own session to be, no storytelling, 5 bullet points, it's okay. We have a session for you. You just go out, you make it right. And then someone said, that's the stairs. Yes, because sometimes the elevator is not fast enough when you need to go. Thank you very much. Before I go into my paper, like I said, I'm the most unserious of everyone. I don't even have slides. It's that bad. But I hope that, I'm able to say 1 or 2 things that would help you. But before that, I think it would be complete injustice if we do not specially appreciate the woman who put this together. I would do better. I wouldn't clap that way for someone who did this and did it for free, Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We're grateful to you. We're grateful to you, madam. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Please have your seat. I was talking to our director of HR, and I said, a number of times people write to me to come speak. I've turned such opportunities down, mostly because you can't charge people to come listen to me, and then they assume that I'm in the business with you, right? So my views are that if you really want me to come, share my views, share my experience, then it has to be an event where you're not charging people, and that's why I'm here. So please, one more time, please put your hands together for. So, thank you very much for having me. Architecting your career transformation. I won't waste too much of your time. I'll tell you my story. Sometime in 2007, I'd worked in a bank, moved to one of the big 4. I do not want to mention the name so that Yinka doesn't get very uncomfortable. So I moved to one of the big 4, and then from there I moved to an international bank, and then to the African Finance Corporation. Oh, wow, right? And then, everyone around me felt, oh, that's a very good job. The AFC, oh, wow, But it didn't feel that way deep inside of me. The money was good. I was being paid in USD in 2007, but it just didn't feel it. Because there's a difference between your monetary reward and what gives you personal satisfaction. For some people, money gives the best satisfaction. You know what we call utility, right? I'm sure you did it in economics. For some other people, the utility for money actually diminishes over time, and you begin to go after what we call what really makes you happy. So I was in the role for about 4 years, from 2007, and every time I'm like, there's just something missing. I had a clear career goal. I want to lead a listed entity in Nigeria. Simple, straightforward. I've had it since I was in the university, and I said, I want to lead a listed entity in Nigeria. Why a listed entity? I mean, I want you to know me. That's it. You don't have to explain to anybody why is your goal. Why a listed entity? Why not just your own company? I want you to know me. If it's not listed, you won't know me. So I wanted to lead a listed entity in Nigeria. So while the job gave me all the monetary resources, I was learning on the job, I still had that huge, vacuum. And what was that vacuum? And it was just that I couldn't see a clear path to achieving my objective. It wasn't there. And then sometime in September 2011, right at home, I then got a call. Hello, Tunde. This is Femi. I got your number from C.L.E.A.N. And in my head, and because I saw several zeros, so I assumed, this must be a special number owned by a special person. Hello, Tunde, this is Femi. I got your number from C.L.E.A.N. I'm like, nobody calls me Tunde anymore to start with. So this must be one very old class, primary school friend. Okay, so who is this C.L.E.A.N who now gave this to Femi? Okay, maybe it's C.L.E.A.N Oyalan or C.L.E.A.N Adesanya or something. I was thinking in my head. And then while I was still thinking about it, I said, Then he said, I mean C.L.E.A.N Agbaje. Okay. MD of GT Bank. And then I am actually Femi Otedola. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, sir. So, good afternoon, sir, isn't it? And he said, I've been looking for a CFO for my oil and gas company. And I was told that you are the one that can do it. So, and I want you to come work for me. Wow. I said, the number one rule is okay. It's whether you will take the job later or not is secondary. So you start from, thank you very much, sir. I'll come see you, we'll have a conversation, isn't it? You can't say outright no. It's not possible. And it can't be outright yes. So I found a way to tell him that we'll have a conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone I told I would be leaving the AFC to join African Petroleum. They were clear in their minds that this guy must be sick. Because at that point, African Petroleum just released its financial statement and made a 21 billion loss. Shareholders' fund was looking negative. Things were looking really bad. The biggest shareholder at African Petroleum at the time had also just gone through a major debt crisis. So by every standard, it just didn't make sense. And that's the point. It doesn't have to make sense to everybody. It just has to make sense to you. So, and then for me, it's an executive director role. This guy is barely 30. He's a listed entity, right? And as the executive director, I'll be the number 2. And my target is to be number 1. So if you get that at 29, almost 30, then... So I said to myself, this is the major shift that I have been looking for. It made no sense to everyone. Now, to top it up, African Petroleum couldn't match my pay. It was a pay cut. But because it was in line with what I really wanted to do, which is to lead a listed entity in Nigeria, and I felt it was going to give me the right positioning for such, I took the job. And that's how I've spent 14 years in Mr. Femi Otedola's shop. And I can say to you, I can't say to you, it's given opportunities that I wouldn't have ever gotten if I stayed behind at the African Finance Corporation. And I can say boldly in very, very clear terms that it was the best decision of my career that I took at that time. So that is my own story and how the transformation happened. So the question is, what is actually transformation? Before you say something is transformation, you must actually even understand the word that you're actually using. Different career moves can create changes. And these changes could be positive or negative. When it's negative, it's destructive. But when it's positive, then it's what? It's transformational. Because it means it's taking you closer to where you want to be. It's taking you closer to your goals. So transformation is not just changing jobs or getting promoted. It's about evolving your capacity, your mindset, and value. But more importantly, you're changing, you are evolving to achieve your objective. It's a shift from potential to performance, the journey from where you are to where you can be, often requiring unlearning old habits and developing new ones that align with your goals. It means taking ownership of your growth story rather than waiting for circumstances to shape it. I'll speak more about that in a few minutes. Now, why is transformation important? Why do I have to move from being a mobile that Tosin was to become a partner in a private equity company? I think it's about you. Do you want to live a life of impact? And what is your definition of that impact? It can't be the same for everyone, right? That's number one. Number two is that the world is evolving. Things are changing. So you must also change. Your career must change, and you must work towards it. Personal transformation actually attracts external transformation. You need to change on the inside to attract the changes that are actually happening on the outside. Without transformation, you also risk being trapped in yesterday's success. So you hear people say things like, when this was. That is what we call old glory, And let me come to our balance. I get them before. No be property. So how do you architect the transformation you desire? Number one, you have to own it. I am sorry. It is not that thing, it is not one of those things that you outsource to your mentor. Should you have a mentor? Yes, by all means, have one. Should you have a pastor, a religious leader that you talk to concerning your career? It's fine if it makes you happy and comfortable. But should you outsource your own transformational journey? The answer is no. You must own it. Say to someone, own it. You must own it and take responsibility for it. Owning it is not just saying, I have my goal. No, you have to take responsibility. You define timelines. Take full responsibility. Nobody is coming to save your career. I'm sorry to inform you. There's no one. I have my own issues. You have your own issues. You must take responsibility for yours. You are the architect, so you don't outsource your growth to your boss. Your boss has got quite a number of you with him. And we are human beings. I'm sorry to inform you, no matter how I want to try as your leader, there will just be something that would attract you to one person more than the other. So now imagine you living your entire career and your life in the hands of someone who is that subjective. I don't know if you get what I mean. So you must own it. You can't outsource it. You can't leave it in the hands of your company. You can't also leave it in the hands of the environment. That's even the worst one. You can't just leave it to chance. You also need to know that your margin of error grows slimmer as you grow older. I'm sorry for the people in front here. These older people, they don't want to hear it. So I'm talking to you at the back. The truth is, there is a negative relationship between your risk tolerance right? And your age. As you grow older, there are some tough career decisions that you may not want to take anymore. You have a wife at home. You have got a set of twins. I mean, you wouldn't tell your wife and your children that it's because I'm trying to take this risk, then there's no school fees. He opened his mouth and said, there's no explanation. So your margin of error, right, reduces. So there's actually a negative relationship. Economics students, you know what that means, right? When you plot it on the X and Y axis, it's actually negative. So as you get older, in actual fact, your margin of error reduces. You can't take it. When I took that decision to join African Petroleum, one of my mentors, when I met with him, he said to me, young man, you are 29. If it doesn't work, what is the worst thing that will happen? You start again. But if you're 45, you want to do that, or you're 50, you have a boy in University of Leeds. It's going to, you have to pay, isn't it? You have to pay school fees. So, but for a young boy, 29-year-old boy, I just had one small boy who was 4 months old. If it didn't work, we just go back now and go back to my big four and just do something. So your margin of error drops. So that's why it's important that this conversation is with you, the younger ones. You need to know that this is the time to make those decisions. This is the time to move quickly. Like Tosin said, self-awareness is extremely important. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your blind spots. And you also need to know your triggers. That is about owning it. You must own it. You must take full responsibility for it. You must have a plan. That's number 2. You must set clear, very clear goals and define what success looks like for you. I said this earlier. Your definition of success has to be personal. And you don't need to explain it to anyone. You don't need to. It's about what you, for your career, what's success? What does success mean to you? In 15 years' time, where would you want to be? Doesn't matter where all others are at, it's about you and where you want to be. It's not enough to have just a plan. You must work towards your goals, but remain very flexible. This is extremely important. Tosin mentioned earlier that it's not just to talk. Talk is what? Cheap. You need to do what? You need to do it. Action. But you have to make sure your goals are flexible. Things are changing. The environment is evolving. The business environment is evolving. Don't say, it is what I want to do. I defined it while I was in university in 1998. Young man, the world does not need that solution anymore. What's the point making what we don't need? What's the point towing a path that is leading you nowhere? So it's extremely important that it's very flexible. Becoming the person your goal requires is extremely important. You have to be focused, diligent, and also act with integrity at all times. And I want to spend a little more time on this. Being focused is something that is extremely underrated in this part of the world. And I say to people, a man that is going nowhere never misses his way. He's always on the right path. So if you do not have a clear plan, you don't know where you are headed, you are not focused as to this is where I'm going to, then it means wherever you find yourself, you are still on the right path. I think that makes a lot of sense. So you must know where you are headed. You must define where you are headed. Diligence is extremely important. We overrate. He's very brilliant. She's very brilliant in this part of the world. And we underplay diligence. Diligence is extremely important. You have to be extremely hardworking. Tosin made a first class from the University of Ife. She got the job without an interview. If she didn't go out there to bring those accounts at that particular time, that's it. They could have sacked her. And that wouldn't change anything. You have to put the work into it. The world does not owe you anything. You need to work really hard. Integrity. Integrity. Do not like shortcuts. You want to transform your career. You want to move from your Greek business into technology and all of those. Don't look for shortcuts. Warren Buffett says, in recruiting, it looks out for three things: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And he said, if you do not have the first one, he doesn't even bother to check for intelligence and energy because you will kill him in the process. Think about it. A man who doesn't have integrity but has a lot of energy and is intelligent, he will kill the company. There will be no company in another few months. So integrity is extremely important. And I want to assure you, the very young ones, we've seen it over time. Shortcuts lead, they are very short term. Very, very short term. We know people who took various shortcuts at different points. Right from secondary school, they started. They are in the school, someone is writing GCE for them. They started. University, they were doing it. At work, they started too. They do not want to put in the work. They would rather go, talk to people, try to use relationships to get to the top. But one thing I have seen, and I can tell you in my 23 years of working, is that shortcuts never give any long-term results. You will realize that if you stay the course, you remain ethical, you do the right things at all times, those people cannot match you cerebrally and materially. So initially, it looks like they are better than you materially. But in the long run, you will realize that cerebrally and materially, you're actually better than them. Cerebrally in the sense that when you see people who do not act with integrity, who try to follow shortcuts, after some time, they stop learning. They stop doing the right things, they stop learning, and then they will just, they just begin to deteriorate. So my plea is that when you have your plan, remain focused, diligent, and ensure that you act with integrity at all times. In your plan, you must ensure that you continue to improve yourself regularly. In the Big Four where I worked, since Yinka has said I should not mention the name, the very first thing we were taught is that he who does not read is not any better than he who cannot read. Think about it. So a whole day, you didn't read anything. You didn't read a book. You didn't even read anything. How are you different from a man who cannot read at all? So you must read. Knowledge is power. You must study regularly. Take professional courses. And I do not want to emphasize what Tosin had said previously. Is you don't take professional courses because others are taking it. Like I said, it is you. You must own your own process and personalize your own process. Take professional courses, attend conferences, attend CLEAN. Attend CLEAN. Be at CLEAN 5.0. Be at CLEAN 5.0. And then for the very young ones, I know it's not a problem for the older ones, reduce your time on social media. I mean, it sounds, this man is old school. I'm not as old school as you think, but I must tell you that most of the time, what you're doing on social media is just wasting your time. I mean, someone is fighting someone, they have marital issues. How is it your business? No, on a serious note. And then you spend the next 1 hour analyzing it, discussing it. I mean, just sit down and say to yourself, of what value is this information? I tell people, the only social media account I have is LinkedIn. I do not have a Facebook account. I'm not saying you shouldn't have. I told you it is what? Personal. And because I know myself. I do not want to connect with you. You were in primary school. I've not seen you in 35 years. Our paths have... No, I mean, that's just on a lighter note. But the point is, you need to check what you're spending your time on. If you want to transform your career, you must spend your time on quality things on social media. There are quality things on LinkedIn. There are quality things on Instagram. There are quality things on Twitter. I'm not disputing that. But if you know you can't control yourself, deactivate the account. You don't need to explain to anybody. I deactivated my account and I don't owe anyone an explanation. It's my life. And I have to own it. So, it's important, under having your clear plan, you must also find mentors and sponsors. This is extremely important, and it's important to the convener, because while I was discussing this with her, she also mentioned that mentors, it's important that I remind you all the role of mentors. What I say to people is, if you are doing life all by yourself, you don't have mentors, what that suggests to me is that you're just a proud, ignorant person. Because a mentor, what a mentor does for you is that a mentor helps you to avoid common pitfalls, helps you, guides you correctly, My first job was in NBC International Bank. I'm sure you all don't know it, don't worry. NBC International Bank is Merchant Banking Corporation owned by the Majeko Dumins. I joined in 2002. As a fresh graduate, accounting, University of Lagos, I was feeling like Tosin too, so I got the job on a platter of gold, and then I got posted to operations. Ladies and gentlemen, my key responsibility on a daily basis was writing, you people won't know all these things, drafts. You remember bank draft? So my responsibility was a customer will come in, give an instruction, and within 5 minutes, JB must convert that instruction to a draft. And in all of this, I would write the draft. We had what we called, is it embroidery or embossment machine? So if it's 10,000 naira, you put it in that machine, so that it will then write it on it red and say this is 10,000. And that was what I was doing. So I would go into the bathroom and say, God, this thing is not working. But for the people out there, it was the fact that you left school, you got a job in a bank, you're doing well. You get the point? It's not about them, it's about... So I was very unhappy with myself. I was unhappy with the job. And I felt I wasn't doing enough. So I would get home, talk to my dad, and then so one day my dad said, you know what? I'll take you to your mentor. You guys should just go discuss this matter. And at the time, it was Bola Onodele, Coco. So I got to him, and then he said, the starting point is, what do you really want to do? I said, I want to lead a listed company in Nigeria. Simple. And I can't see the part here. I'm doing draft, and it's not working. So he said to me, the only shortcut I think of, his words, is that you should get into one of the big four, become an accountant, then go become CFO of that listed entity, and then you can become CEO. That moment made a material change in my entire career. Because we stepped out of his house, and the first thing we did was to go to 22A Gerard Road. I've not mentioned the name still. Was to go to 22A Gerard Road to drop my CV. And then they called me up, and that was how I moved from the banking job that I wasn't happy with, and then I joined the Big Four, and I was there for about. So mentors play a big role. They've seen it all. Identify the right mentors. You outgrow your mentors too. You do. I have experience, so I'll tell you. So at some point, he's still your mentor, but find another mentor. Find a mentor to align your goals, to discuss things with. So I've got about 4 or 5 mentors, and I make sure that from time to time we sit down to agree, to talk about what needs to be done and how it should be done. Talk to mentors. Have people that you are accountable to. That's one thing mentors do. If you have a mentor that doesn't meet with you once a month, change your mentor. I'm telling you, your mentor should meet with you regularly. Once a quarter, should meet with you. Agree what you need to do over the next 3 months. And then in 3 months' time, you should. And the fact that you know that you need to explain to him why it has not been done, that gets you going. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So don't just go pick a paddy and say, that's my mentor. And then half of the time, you are both drinking and gisting. And you say you're having a mentorship session. Thank you. And second to the last, as I try to round up now, you must identify and also see the right opportunities. This is a very critical point. Opportunities, half of the time, I don't want to say most of the time, they are packaged like challenges. They are packaged like problems. Opportunities rarely come in perfect packaging. So you must learn to say yes. Like I said yes to the Femi that got my number from C.L.E.A.N. You must learn to say yes when it's time to stretch and know when distractions come dressed as opportunities. So distractions also come dressed as what? Opportunities. So you must learn how to identify this opportunity. And I say to people quite close to me that the easiest way is continue to look at what your goal is. Any opportunity that won't take you closer to your goal is a distraction. As far as I'm concerned, it's a distraction. You know, African Petroleum, practically moribund company, working in an African finance corporation where everybody wanted to be. It didn't look like an opportunity one should even consider. And then we started talking about numbers. What would you pay? And then the story was, we can't even pay. You can't pay what the AFC is paying you. So it just looked like a move that shouldn't be made. But I was clear in my mind because it was taking me closer to my goal. And I said to myself, let's do this thing. You must build relationships and networks. Mr. Segun Agbaje, who introduced me to, and I'm sure, if any one of you has gone through making it big, you'll see it in there. He mentioned it. He introduced me to Mr. Femi Otedola. I last worked with him in 2007 as an auditor. But Mr. Otedola approached him in 2011 for a CFO, and he recommended me. If I did not keep in touch with him, do you think he would even remember that there is a JB somewhere? So, any opportunity to connect and keep in touch, don't just connect and that's it. Continue to keep in touch. I know people who are very good at it, and one of them is as director of HR. He knows your child's birthday, he knows everything. So you get a text message, happy birthday to your son. Those things are extremely important. They look very simple, but they are important. They connect well with, especially women. You see, they are nodding. When you send a text to a woman and you say, oh, it's your daughter's birthday today, happy birthday to her, and she knows that nobody prompted you, it's like you kept record of it. You are in a different part of our system. True, right? So it's important that you build relationships and networks, and it's also the story of Yinka and I. Yinka and I started as Mr. Owotuga and Mrs. Oyetunji. And then after some time, we became JB and Yinka. And then from there, it became brotherly and sisterly, all right? And it's about relationships, keeping relationships that are adding value. So one more point on that. Any relationship that is not adding value is eroding value. So you must check from time to time that this relationship that you have, is it adding value to you? Is it helping you with your goals? Or is it a distraction? You might need to cut off that friend. Hey, I shouldn't say this. But since I'm here, let me just say it. You might need to cut off that family member. You have to be visible. One of the things I learned in that Big Four too was that, there's this thing they say that, do not beat your own drum or trumpet. Do not blow your own trumpet. So the first session we had in FSI, Dr. Shola Adedunton came and said, you can see we are not selling rice here. And we don't have beans that we are selling here. So that's your mentality of do not blow your own trumpet. Drop it at the gate. Yeah, you will blow. You have to blow your own trumpet. The only condition is that it must come out with a good sound. Because if your trumpet sound is now noise, then we'll show you the way out. So as someone who is interested in career transformation, be visible, blow your trumpet, be quick to let people know. Tosin alluded to it. Be quick to let people know your strengths. Be quick to let people know. Don't focus on your weaknesses. You work on them, but be quick to showcase yourself. You have to be your personal brand manager. You have to be. It's not JB won't leave. I will not leave my own trumpet. It's your own trumpet I'll be blowing. How do I explain that to my children at home? Think about it. I'll leave my own trumpet and then I'll be blowing your own. It's even if I blow it, I'll just blow it small and then when I still need to blow my own trumpet very well. I don't know if you're catching it. So it's extremely important, blow your trumpet, but remember, your trumpet must produce the right sound. As I close, she insisted that it must be my story and not just an academic conversation. It's easy for me to just say every other thing is history. How do I put it normally? You know, when big men, I'm not one of them, so I'm even struggling with how they do it. When they come to explain something to you, we bettered the idea of the refinery, this and that, and after telling you 2 or 3 things, I say, the rest is... Meanwhile, that is where the cocoa is. So I apologize to the convener and all the people who put this together if this is not allowed, but I'm going to do it. There is one more thing that I would say is extremely important in your career transformation journey. And that is the God factor. I'm sorry, but I must tell you, there is more to this life than the physical. And what that means is that beyond the physical, the things that control this life, right? They are beyond the physical. In this entire journey I've discussed, my 23 years and all of those, the biggest component in that whole conversation is the God factor. I played with you, whatever your faith is, there is the God factor to make the right decisions, to have the right career transformation that you desire. It made no sense to anyone to leave the African Finance Corporation and then go to African Petroleum that was even struggling to pay its bills. But when you have the backing of the Holy Spirit and God, it can continue. Anyone can say anything. For you, is the fact that you're sure that you are what? Making the right decision. So you need God, and you cannot downplay it. It's not number 2, it's number 1. And my reference for you is Luke 5. We wouldn't have known Peter at all. Because the challenge Peter had was that he didn't catch any fish all night. And as soon as Jesus finished using his boat, Jesus actually made him get a huge catch, if you remember. And the catch was both nets breaking and what? Boat sinking. So it was big. So all that Peter needed was to carry his jackpot and what? And go home. But that wouldn't have been transformational. He would have died as another fisherman. In actual fact, if you read the Bible, at that beginning, it said, Jesus met 2 men washing their nets. His name was not known then. But what transformed it? What made that transformational change to his career? After Jesus did the miracle, he said, you still need to leave this fish behind, or these fishes behind. What will we do? I would make you fishers of, and that is why we know Peter today. So ladies and gentlemen, all of these academic things are important, but please do not leave out the role of Almighty God, which Tosin referred to as divine providence. And I'm sorry if that has rubbed off on you wrongly, but she told me to share my own story. It's my story, it's not your story. Thank you very much.